Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Government criticized over decision to deport 36 Haitians. Wait time reduced at Halfway Tree Transportation Center. And later in sports, Reggae Boys clashed with Haiti in Nations League. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamila Pullen. Here are the details. The government continues to face backlash for its decision to deport a group of Haitian nationals who arrived in the country last weekend. Even as the information minister defended the decision, one lobby group argues it was wrong. The issue was discussed on Radio Jamaica's Beyond the Headlines on Monday. The details in this report. On Monday, the government announced that the 36 Haitians who arrived on the island by boat on September 9 were deported. In a release, it stated the group was denied entry following immigration checks and security vetting.
While we can express concern about the welfare of the persons who have been returned, Jamaica acted within the law. We have not put them in harm's way. They were well taken care of when they were here. We found out that there were adverse findings for individuals some of whom seemed to be habitual transporters of persons across the seas. And Jamaica had to make a decision in its best interest.
But pointing to international laws, Melina Lane of the human rights lobby group Freedom Imaginaries has been critical of the move.
International law is very clear on certain fundamental principles. One is the non-penalization for illegal entry. The second is non-refoulement, which means that under no circumstances should persons be returned to a country where they could, face persecution. And the government is aware of these standards because we've highlighted them in our previous communication. And so this move to return Haitians under the cover of darkness without allowing them to access legal support is extremely concerning.
She says UN advisories prescribe that Haitians are not to be forcibly removed and should be granted protection as vulnerable migrants.
We need to organize on the ground, establish a network for rapid response so that when these issues come to light, there is a team that can immediately go in, provide legal support and information, and intervene to prevent Haitians from being sent back to Haiti. I think there also needs to be public pressure on the government to respect its international obligations, and I so appreciate Human Rights Watch being on the call, doing important work in terms of collecting information on the ground, and I hope that Human Rights Watch and other international and regional organizations will join the effort to put pressure on Caribbean countries to do as the UN said and suspend the forced return of Haitian nationals.
The group of Haitians who arrived on the island in July are seeking asylum in Jamaica. A 36-year-old Jamaican woman who was recently extradited to the U.S. made her first court appearance in the U.S. federal court on Friday. Sarika Goodison was arraigned on an 8-count indictment. She allegedly created a series of fraudulent debt relief companies that tricked U.S. victims into paying fees and disclosing personal sensitive information. At today's hearing, the judge ordered that she be held without bond pending her next court appearance, which is scheduled for September 20. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz and Education Minister Favour Williams visited the Halfway Tree Transportation Center in St. Andrew on Tuesday. This is to observe the flow of the JUTC bus system in the mornings when students are going to school. More in this report. From as early as 7 a.m. Monday, the ministers arrived at the Halfway Tree Transport Center, where several students had already gathered to take the bus to school.
We have an availability of 253 buses, and what is very impressive to me is the fact that at 7:30, at this moment at 7:30, you have no waiting in the area for persons who are seeking buses. That would show me that the people are being moved in a timely manner based on the availability of buses. So the fact is that this is what speaks to what the situation is.
$1,200 vouchers were also handed out to students, especially to the disabled. This, they were told, was to help offset the cost of transportation fees.
He mentioned the bus that carries special needs students. Most of those students are going into my constituency at the Randolph Lopez School of Hope. They're going to Carberry Court. They're going to other schools in my constituency. And so I was delighted to see the service being offered on the JUTC bus to students with special needs. Commendation, Minister Valls. And I understand, though, that we need at least another 10 of those special needs buses. And so I'm delighted, just truly delighted to see the quick movement of our students.
After leaving the transportation center, Mr. Vaz walked the Eastwood Park area to Old Hope Road and other surroundings. He said there were several issues identified which delayed a number of students getting to school on time. But those issues, he promised, will be addressed soon.
It's premature to state what they are, because I believe strongly that you must have consultation and collaboration as best as possible with the stakeholders and the operators. So those meetings will continue, chaired by the Transport Authority through the chairman and the general manager. But I see definitely some gaps that can be easily filled. But again, it's always important to come physically on the road to get eyeball what's happening firsthand.
Mr. Vaz says there are other plans to visit transportation centers in other parishes. Meanwhile, Transport Minister Darrell Vaz says 6 more JUTC buses will arrive in November. An additional 14 will arrive in January 2024.
Getting additional buses that are not diesel, that are CNG and electric, compressed natural gas, along with the implementation of a fully cashless system for JUTC by the middle of next year, will do the trick in terms of getting the ability for JUTC to operate at a higher efficiency, at less subsidy from the government, and most importantly, doing what it needs to do, which is move the people in a timely manner.
Mr. Vaz also commented on the condition of the new EV buses since arriving in the island 6 weeks ago. He says more will be coming air-conditioned.
Air-conditioned, and you can feel the temperature difference, especially in this heat wave that we're having. So all the 50 buses that came the other day, plus this EV test bus, plus all the other buses that are going to be ordered, will have the air condition, especially in light of climate change. And the fact is that it is giving the passenger an increased customer experience. And for that, I'm very happy. So right now, you come out of the transport center, which is obviously feeling the elements of the heat, and you walk into this and you can actually feel the difference in the temperature.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Jamaica Labour Party supporters are gearing up for the local government elections, but the date is yet to be announced. Carrie-Ann Simpson reports.
JLP supporters in their hundreds, energized by the imminent local government election, and the party's leadership adding to the excitement by presenting dozens of candidates who will represent the JLP in the 4 parishes which make up Region 2. The supporters say they are ready to do their part to give the JLP control of municipal corporations.
We're ready, I like tomorrow, ready.
What are you most impressed by what the Labour Party do so far since they've been in power?
Warmington do a lot for us. Labour had gone clear. Labour had gone. We can't lose.
How ready are you for the local government election next year?
If me ready?
Yeah.
Ready long time.
Why?
Because one is the good.
But that's the only election the government is contemplating for now.
Now, the JLP leader and Prime Minister Andrew Holness has at least twice in the past indicated that there will be no early general election, and he again made that point clear tonight. He said any talk about an early general election is just distraction.
Elections not due until general elections, that is, not due until 2025. But there are some people who want to bring the date forward. Now, what happens when you bring the date forward? The ministers who have to be focusing on your business to make sure that the progress that we are seeing, that the development that is happening doesn't go off rail. Them now start to think about politics. I don't want that to happen to this government.
But what about the recent Don Anderson poll showing the JLP losing ground to the PNP? Controversial MP for Southwestern St. Catherine, Everett Warmington, says he's not worried.
I can tell you, any poll you pay for as a party, that you get. So when PNP pay for some fraud poll and tell you nonsense, I'll ask a good pollster, go there tomorrow and poll to see where the Jamaican Labour Party stand. There's no PNP there.
In fact, MP for Western St. Mary and JLP Chairman Robert Montague is confident Andrew Holness will break records in terms of time served as Prime Minister in Jamaica.
Prime Minister for the third term, and Prime Minister for the fourth term, and Prime Minister for the fifth term, and Prime Minister for the sixth term, and Prime Minister for the seventh term, and Prime Minister for the eighth term, and Prime Minister till as long as him want to be Prime Minister.
Carrie Ann Simpson, TVJ News.
Parish Manager for the St. James Public Health Services, Lennox Wallace, is bemoaning the growing number of mentally ill persons in the parish. It's why the Health Department has partnered with a tourism product development company to address the issue.
The TPD will be purchasing an ambulance for us. We have bought one for ourselves that should be finished and into the parish the end of this month. But we will continue to visit these places and to ensure that our mental health persons are treated but not let back into the public space until they are fully treated.
He says following complaints of mentally ill persons attacking members of the public in other parishes, he is putting measures in place to prevent any occurrence in St. James. He further adds that plans are being put in place to address the issue of housing for social cases.
We approached the mayor, Boma Davis, at the time, who had given us a piece of land, and we are going to, this year, start a building to house these persons. So we move these persons from the hospitals that are just their social cases and to build a space for them along with a training center so that these persons become productive members after treatment, productive members of society.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Actively pursuing opportunities in real estate development. Teddy Jones, a representative from the company, says there are 4 projects for which Money Masters is to start deploying financing.
There's one in Trelawney, that's Caladium Development Limited, literally just before the border of Trelawney and St. James, a little area called Wilshire. There is the Teely Real Estate project in St. Catherine, Bellevue Heights, St. Catherine. That one is residential, 13 residential units, single-family residential units.
The company says it should also be financing a residential project in Discovery Bay in St. Anne. Further afield, shares in RTX Corporation hit a 2-year low as it took a $3 billion charge, telling airlines hundreds of their Airbus A320neo jets would be grounded in the coming years to check for a rare manufacturing flaw. In July, RTX said a rare powder metal defect could lead to the cracking of some engine components and called for accelerated inspections, affecting 200 engines by mid-September. However, on Monday, it said it now estimates it will have to pull a total of 600 to 700 engines for lengthy quality inspections between 2023 and 2026. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Shane Masters.
Thank you, Shane. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Guyana's President Dr. Irfaan Ali has announced that his administration will be adjusting the main minimum wage and income tax threshold. During a press conference, the president said that following an analysis of the country's finances, the minimum wage and tax threshold will be increased. The government is in the process of re-evaluating the revenue projected for this year, and based on the numbers, there will be further adjustments. On the international scene, a black Texas high school student has been suspended for more than a week because his lock hairstyle violated the district's dress code. It comes after the state's Crown Act, a law prohibiting discrimination based on one's hair texture or protective hairstyle, such as locks and braids, took effect. The teen received multiple disciplinary action notes and was placed on in-school suspension for wearing his locks hairstyle in a ponytail. The search and rescue operations are underway following severe flooding in Libya that has left at least 2,000 people dead. At least 10,000 people are believed to be missing after Storm Daniel dumped rain on Libya's northeast. Authorities say 2 dams collapsed, sending water flowing into already inundated areas. The region got more than 2/3 of its normal annual rainfall in just one day. And those are the top regional and international stories. I'm Carrie and Simpson.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jeremy Brown.